Michelle. And
I think I have to pinch you today
why is that?
because you're not wearing any green.
Oh, true, but because
We,
you've got this beautiful background,
yeah,
I couldn't resist wearing this beautiful poppy from my dad. And yeah, I just thought, no, I'm going to do black.
there's green on the puppy
True.
also. So all perfect. I got this green shirt today, and my daughter, she gave me this one. I don't know if you can see it. It has a little shamrock here on the side as well.
The luck of the
So
Irish.
yeah, St. Patrick, or how is it in Gaelish? Lyle Patrick. We're celebrating today. We are not in the pub, unfortunately, but we are here celebrating our own St. Patrick's Day because I was watching a video of our guest, Michelle Rumball, who is going to come in now this afternoon. She made a Facebook live walking through a wonderful park, walking in nature, and talking as well about St. Patrick's Day and singing Irish songs. Michelle, hello.
Hello. hello.
I
Michelle.
was so amazed by your video today. So I thought we could like celebrate a little bit St. Patrick's on our hub.
Yeah. I'm wearing dark green and a fairy, so that's
Great.
but I didn't know about the pinch thing, and now I know what someone on my Facebook comments said pinch. I didn't know that you get pinched for no green, so now I do.
Apparently, yes, I didn't know it as well. I just checked it out last week as I'm doing a report, as I was doing a report of St. Patrick's Day. But yeah, apparently you get pinched. So if yeah, I should pinch both of you. No, that's okay. Yeah, I met Michelle at Dave Rock's Flow Speaking course, where we were together in a peer group, which is very interesting, and we kept the connection going. We were calling ourselves the Flowers, I believe. Yeah, right. Yeah,
Flowers, yeah.
and it was all about flow. So watching your video this afternoon, it was really putting me in the flow. It's amazing. You have done this before, right?
Yeah, during the pandemic, I'm a performing musician, and when the pandemic hit, lost as the days long, but I did start doing Friday Facebook Lives from my apartment right off the hop, like the following Friday. In Canada, so that was good performance wise. But in Canada, we were very fortunate to get, people got money. So I got paid for a whole bunch of months because I really couldn't work. I teach music in daycares as well, and that work was gone. And for the first time in my life, I was paying bills and I had time, and I was so confused by that because I've spent decades, chasing like decades on the hamster wheel and not really feeling like the time is my own. So the pandemic hits, and suddenly I'm taking walks and I'm going to the embodiment conference and I'm meeting people like Dave Rock and Jamie Cato, and I have time for healing. I have time for reflecting, and the walks, of course, gave that extra reflection time. And then I just started live streaming them whenever I was sort of in the mood for it. I didn't stress myself out about it. Like, I'm kind of not stressing myself out now, but I'm making a plan for it now. But during the pandemic, it was just, oh, here's a fun snowy day by the old mill station, and I think I'll talk to whoever's at home. And of course, people were at home, right?
Hmm.
So it was like trawling for my friends on couches and indoors. So yeah. So today was, now I have confidence that it's a good formula and that people want it. I don't know that I thought that during when I was just doing it organically.
Yeah, I believe people are looking for authenticity and for realness because there's so many distraction. There's so much distraction around that we sometimes have trouble to bear with it. And you already said that you are from Canada. You're a musician and a songwriter, and I also watched your Christmas videos on Facebook, which I found really lovely. Um, And you told me that you have trouble playing the guitar right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, since November, I've had an arm injury that has just kind of stopped everything. It's tendinosis, which I think if I were just you know, going about my life, I could heal and I could figure out and I could or live with a bit of pain or whatever. But because it's the guitar, it's confused me more than anything. So I'm stopped in my tracks in one way. The thing you saw me doing, I think, is done in the way I was doing it. But I've been doing it for decades. So so my body is telling me it's time to change, and I'm listening.
So it's another direction of flow for you, would you say?
Yeah. So my backstory is that it it's a direction and flow back to me, and it's only taken how many decades, I think. Um, in my 20s, like I started out as a theater kid, as a my mom was in a 4-part singing group with her siblings up in northern Ontario, like 8 hours north of here. I was surrounded by music and performance oriented, so did some theater and all that kind of stuff. But and then studied comedy for about 5 years, and then I just fell into this band that in my 20s we did really well. We got at 5 years I co-founded a band, and at the 4.5 year mark we got nominated for Canada's version of a Grammy. But things were falling apart because the one woman in the band, this is in the 80s, where there wasn't the wealth of what there is now today, where women, men, boys respect girls, all this kind of stuff. There's a whole lot of difference there. But then I couldn't name a band that had a long lasting female in the band in the 80s. Couldn't do it. And so it fell apart. And I have a lot of trauma locked because there's one person who still won't speak to me. I have a lot of trauma locked around it. But what really happened was I lost my physical voice because I started yelling. I started, you know, forcing outward for attention, like just yanging the hell out of my life. And my voice finally said, "We are done. And if you stay here, we will leave the building." I don't know why my voice was a we, but um, so yeah, so losing my voice early on, but also equating it with not my physical voice, but my creative voice, like the two things. This is full circle. This is like in November when I injured my voice on a gig. I had a voice injury that I could fix within a week, but my arm went right after it. But when that's the first time I felt the same way I felt in my 20s about hitting a wall, about hitting a door, not a wall, a door, getting to a door, I guess it feels like. So, but no, I didn't recognize it at first. For 2 weeks in November, I just cried, and I just sat there petrified here in my apartment, kind of going, "Oh my God," because I think my gut knew yet again. The universe was saying, with my body was saying, you have to shift. You have got to find authenticity. You've got to find yourself again. You've got to be your voice again. And I didn't realize I'd kind of lost the plot.
I think that realizing that there needs to be a change is also the intuition who is calling in. But we rarely listen to this because we have so much noise around, so that we never can sit in stillness, because it's actually in stillness that you can empty the mind and that new ideas tap in. It's like comparing my cup of coffee was like pretty much full. There's nothing anymore to put in. So emptying this mind, sitting in this quietness and this stillness, what you are also doing in nature when you do your Facebook lives. And I lost my I lost my question I was going to ask. Yeah. Yeah, it's in that, my God, it's in that stillness that you can empty the chattering going around from morning to night. You are not here, you are not that, you are not good enough, and everything. Who keeps us also from going for our dreams.
Yeah, and keeps you locked in. Like I've been locked in a program or just a process of like getting songs together for a gig. But because I learned how to, here's the real secret. Don't tell anyone. But I mean, I had 4 guys in a band. I came from a fairly male voiced family. My trauma was really around being a woman owning her voice. The problem with playing guitar is that, so I left the band. I didn't trust anyone. I couldn't play with anyone. So I learned how to play guitar so I could stand on my own, which is great. I know how to play guitar now. I can do that. But I did it so that to keep distance really more than it seems like at the end of the day now. And that's good to know, right? But it was the longer I stayed in the guitar playing game, the more I realized I was just trying to impress the boys. I still had that. I'm super people pleaser, and because of my background of trying to get the respect from the guys thing, and that's dead now. That has passed on because I had been realizing it anyway, but it's great because the clarity now that I've stopped and I've had to stand still. I've been more alone in this apartment, not doing gigs, not out, cavorting. The stillness is calming me down and telling me that I'm enough. Whatever my authentic voice is enough. Don't have to impress anyone anymore. What do I want to do? And the triggers are really wild. Like now I know places to stay. When the clarity is great. People say, do you want to do this? And I'm like, no, not going near it. That'll trigger me. It'll make me think I have to impress someone. It'll make me think I have to, I don't want to be in that room. Like last night, I didn't go out to something I usually go out to every Patty's Day. And I just was like, no, I need me to know what today is me. My email to you earlier, Michelle, was it a trying new things day?
Try new things there, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm putting myself first, finally.
We should all try new things.
I love that because yesterday was St. Patrick's Day here in New Zealand, Michelle. So this morning's the 18th, but I got an invite from a dear elderly friend who just got back into the choir after having like a broken ankle, and she was so proud, and she sent me an invite to hear her in the choir for St. Paddy's Day last night. But for the first time in ages, I had already declared yesterday a day of me with no invites and no interactions or bookings, because I'm a shocker. I'm a shocker because I'm very social, of filling space with things and activities, even though I love stillness and done many practices like we all have. It's really easy for me to take space and then just chock it with activity. So yesterday was just a day of being with me, regardless of Irish roots and celebrations and things. So I love that you said that as well. And it feels like another little bit of synergy with the three of us and what we were talking about earlier, like the whole Michelle, the Virgo, and that sort of thing.
I love it. 3 Michelles. I'm a Virgo Libra cusp, but I'm definitely Virgo at times when I need it.
Virgo Libra,
on the 16th
Libra
of September, so I'm heading to the cusp,
Right. It's really nice. Did you say chocker?
Yeah, it's a word like when it's full. So it's like it's spelt like choker, but with an A on the end, like you say, it's chockers. Chockers full.
Right.
Yeah, I forget how much slang we use down here in New Zealand and Australia. Like,
I go through little jags of like needing to watch Secret City again, or what's the one? Pine Tree. There's a really good one on Netflix. I love the Australian accent, so quite often I will just watch a whole series. Frick, that was kind of brilliant. So yeah.
I know Secret City, yeah, but I mean, in New Zealand we only sort of have one drama that's been going for 30 years in a hospital called Shortland Street.
Oh my God.
You watch that. Yeah, no TV in this house actually. So yeah, that nature thing, that's just such a thing that I've found in my kind of wellness flow and journey has been just so important for um clearing my mind and also for calming my nervous system really easily. That's been a really big thing. Um Yeah, that's the thing that really just centers and polarizes me. I don't know about either of you, but really important. Like, yeah, it's key for me.
Mm-hmm.
Toronto's interesting because it's so urban, but it's got a lot of rural. Like it has a lot of parks, which is kind of what I want to do. I'm launching like the new thing I'm trying to do. I'm going to take out the trying. Yeah, I'm launching a YouTube channel where I go for walks. And part of it is to please myself because I've loved Toronto my whole life, but I always compare myself to the people who know more about it or can, went to school and can present things and all of it. I'm done with all of that. So I'm ready to just be the person that I am walking through the city talking about how I think Toronto sort of is. And I'm really excited by that. And I'm really excited to highlight like Toronto has this real sickness of comparing itself to New York City all the time. And it exhausts everyone. Like, and so I like the idea of like showcasing why it's so awesome, like all the green really does make a big difference. So we have a huge ravine system and two major rivers that come right through either side of the city. Like that's pretty amazing. So
Mm-hmm.
there are so many little walks to take and show people and call. It's a gift to me. When I turned off my phone today, I was like, okay, there, I've done my work. That was great. Like I know how to do this. There's this new voice in me that's like, I feel like I've been dead for a while. And November was the lightning strike, but it was really just like a storm that was kind of there. And it kind of deadened my joy. And I've had more authentic joy in the last couple of weeks than I've had in a long time. And today turned off the phone and I was just like, oh, this is the right path. Like, this is great.
Mm.
Yeah, nature connection, that's also something that helps me a lot to doing mind emptying. I try to be as often as possible in the forest, which is so interesting because you always discover new things and get new inspirations, which is pretty amazing. But Michelle, you not only a singer, songwriter, but you also an author. You like to write.
I do. I want to write. I need to write. I've been writing poetry through the pandemic. That was really helpful. I want to write. I have a book that's kind of ready. It's a short book of, it's actually quite old. It's called The Toronto Daily Awesome. It's a thing I did when Toronto was going through a rough spell with a terrible mayor and crack smoking mayor, literally. Uh, and I was just trying to offset things. So I have this like little package that's kind of ready to go. But what I really want to do is write about New Orleans and having lived there for a couple of years. So
Okay.
that's what I'm trying to organize. So it seems like I think I'm going to be doing a bunch of things all at one time. So I'll be writing poetry and trying to encourage the New Orleans stories to come out while I'm walking around talking about Toronto. I think that all is confusing enough. And then I'll get back to singing when I feel like it, I want to. I'm really not sure, like you can tell.
But it still feels like you're open to possibility. Like it's not like I'm not sure and I don't know where I'm going. To me, your energy sort of feels more like it's one of possibility and wondrous expectation, or maybe no expectation, but just feels, even hearing you, I don't know why, how your mind goes. I had this vision of you leading singing walking tours, through Toronto.
She
Well, that's
was
interesting.
singing on her
I was
video.
singing on the,
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
that's all possible. Um, yeah, I think like I love. So first of all, I love your podcast. I was listening to Marius. You were talking about nature, and that was great. He's inspired the heck out of me because I'm so urban. I'm very useless in the flower land. So it was really nice hearing him. But of course, Jamie Caddo, like, so during the pandemic, I went to a lot of his lovely gatherings. But the time zone thing eventually, when I got back working during the pandemic, it worked because I didn't mind getting up at 5 in the morning, or sometimes 6, depending on the time change. But it got to be like impossible. But it was such a great space to be in. And I've done a bunch of his workshops, and I know you guys are deep Caddo gals. And I think I feel not cocksure, like not cocky about it, but I've killed off a bunch of my, the time waster or the
inner
unworthy.
critic.
The inner critic is like I'm just in more control of her now. I'm just like, I think all its action forward, and for me, I think the busyness is the thing, because that'll keep me in flow. That's what I need for flow, is like this sense of hive, this sense of busyness around me. And because I live alone, I'm gonna, I'm realizing I have to invent all these things. Like, I sent myself out of my apartment today. No one else did that but me, and that's exciting. So I've got that. That is what is. I may be unsure about things, but the certainty is that I've planted a bunch of seeds, and I'm definitely tending a garden now, I guess. I mean, if I want to stay with the metaphor here, like, I feel like I've got a worthy garden started.
Cool. I think that's the key, going with what shows up and not being afraid of. Yeah, getting rid of that fear of failure. Thinking that, oh my God, I cannot do this because what are people going to think about this, and I cannot do this. That's the hugest lie ever. I cannot. Yeah.
I think,
Yeah,
Jamie's characters are great in terms of the way, they are very accessible, and you can laugh at them and make friends with them, like you say. And I love that you brought up the people pleaser one, because that's always been a prominent one, I know, for myself. But now it's that awareness and stopping before moving into the character and holding hands with it for too long. So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and just having that slight remove, like, I find that I have a bit of a remove now, where I can take that. It's not always a physical breath, but it should be uh just a little beat, and just kind of realize you can say no here, or you can be honest here where you wouldn't have been before, all those
Mhm.
things. Even my family's a harder place to do it in, but I've got an aging mother, a 93-year-old mother who's in dementia land at this point. So that gives me a lot of time to really reflect on, like, a life lived, um and I get a little bit of a practice, because she makes me a bit crazy. So it gives me some practice for patience, and taking away the conditionality that was always there, and just kind of saying, no, I'm going to be here wholeheartedly. And that's how I'm trying to be with my friends, and trying to be with my work relationships, and people on the internet, which is really weird, but it's another aspect that we're all kind of having to relate to.
Yeah. Michelle, are there a couple of other things that come to mind that you have found in your journey with well-being that have been sort of pivotal for you? Anything sort of anything somatic, or yeah. I mean, I hear that you've got a lot of creative outlets as such
Yeah.
that put you into flow. Is there anything else you've done which you could say, yeah, this really worked well for me?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to lie in my bed, and I would move energy around, like, from my foot. I didn't know that's what I was doing, but I would, like, oh, that's interesting. I can make it go to my knee. I can make it go to my other foot. Didn't know anything about chi when I was a kid. Didn't know anything about chi for a long time. Long time. And then started studying qigong. There was a bit of a trauma with, not to go into it, but the people I studied with kind of created a bit of a problem. But the practice itself was that changed everything because I recognized what energy is for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not a good yoga person. I'm not a good meditator. I'm not a good, like, there are a lot of things where I find meditation in like drum practice because I need to be doing something a little busy to calm the brain down or whatever. Qigong is like moving meditation. That really has always worked for me. That's the one I will continue to come back to, like in terms of modalities.
Yeah.
I also took mitzvah years ago, and that's hilariously, that's the one thing, and no one really knows about. Do you know that one?
I've
Mitzvah?
never heard that. No.
If you look it up, it's a Middle Eastern back thing. I don't even know. I'm a terrible salesperson for it, but I took it 30 years ago, and I have a stool from IKEA that I bought 30 years ago that I still use to straighten my back. And I do this one little, you just sit down, you sit back, you sit forward, you breathe, you stand up. Honestly, like, worst salesperson ever, but it's the one thing that I will continue to go back to. And then I will just say two other quick ones. TRS, what is it? Trauma release. There's one,
TRE? No.
TRE, the one
Yeah.
where you lie on your back and your legs.
Yeah, your legs and they shake like a butterfly.
That was during the embodiment conference. All I did was a workshop with the whoever speaks for that. Holy doodle. That's just doable. That one I love because you don't have to, you can just do that one. I mean, I would love to be guided through it. And then the other one that really, if I had money to take it, I would do in a heartbeat is internal family studies. Like Richard Schwartz, yeah, that stuff is, I think, the magic stuff.
Really powerful.
I think about it a lot. I think about firemen, and I feel like a lot of what he said during the pandemic, during like whatever I heard from him, that I was working those characters without being able to name them or whatever. But I feel like I was like going, okay, it's a jumble of computer chords, which is an analogy I use for voice training as well. But it works in this way, like they're all just tangled in the wrong way, and we're just slowly untangling all of the little aspects of my personality. So I think all those things are kind of my main things, and voice training, like those things physically are all the things that have grounded and shifted with me.
Thank you. That's really good to hear. It's always, I know there's never one modality or one thing for any of us, but it is always great to hear, what things you've found or anyone has found to be really helpful in the journey. And also I think it's great to hear, like you say, that yoga is not necessarily your thing, still meditation not so much either, but the moving meditation aspect, and even to hear about mitzvah as well, that's that was great, so thank you so much.
Yeah, those are also things that connect you to your body, like you mentioned now, qigong or meditation, breath work. Many people are disconnected from their body and have no contact with their intuition. And that's also, like, for example, you noticed when you're stagnating, by not going forward anymore, that you lost contact with that intuition. And the moments you are feeling those symptoms in your body, like also you told before, sitting with your feelings and emotions, that gets you back to yourself. And that's where the ideas arise.
Yeah, I think it's hard. It's tricky sometimes because I think that connection between the intuition and the heart and the soul and the brain and the body, if you've not had that, or if you've grown up in a really physically abusive world or emotionally abusive or cult or like whatever, when you start feeling that stuff, you have to figure that's healthy. It's new, right? So no, you don't always have someone around to say, no, that's the thing. Chase
Mhm.
that. Like I would have gotten freedom singing, and I recognize that. I got a certain kind of freedom singing with the band I sang with until it flipped into self-abuse, because of how I was trying to impress people. But I didn't have anyone really around me other than my teachers kind of going, hang on, hang on, hang on. But me, I'm a bit of a, I didn't grow up connected enough. I did hard stuff because I had hockey playing brothers. I did gymnastics. I did this. And meanwhile, I'm lying in my bed with the gentle stuff, not recognizing where those would ever meet up. So it's taken a really long time. And I feel for people who just like, they don't understand when they get that little taste. They might take it as a one-off and race back to the safe zone of what they know, right? Like, it's kind of, you know.
I can so relate to what you're saying too, from being in well, my sister was a competitive sports person, but dad got me playing the guitar really young, but everything was always about crossing the line, and being driven and pushed to succeed and all the time. It was never just do your best. It was, yeah. So yeah, I can hear a little bit of, that in your story too.
Yeah, we needed a bit more of that. Do your best. They wanted us to be happy, but that's just impossible to define. Like, if you don't know, you don't know. Like, I don't know. So I chased the things that were around me, which was boy things, and I finally get to balance it out at this ripe age of whatever. Yeah. Turns out I'm the same age as the famous Canadian coffee shop Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons turned 60 this year, and I'm turning 60 in September. So I feel like I'm in a really great. I had some goals when I hit 58. I was like, you gotta feel more like yourself by the time you're 60. And I didn't realize in November that was that's the runway. That was the runway to a vow I kind of made at 58. Like, I'm on track. I just didn't know how I would get there. I thought it would be a different way, right? So
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited to hit that age.
It's great. Lots of good stuff to come by the sounds of it. I love the way you are open to just adjusting and just, moving with things, and knowing too that what feels right, what doesn't, what could be triggery, still, and things like that as well. I think it's wonderful insight, which again is, of course, that connectiveness that you probably know now, like you were saying, for people that grew up in environments that aren't, they're like, what do you do with what we call intuition when they're getting that voice coming through? How does someone process that when they've never experienced, say growing clarity or insight? So, yeah.
Yeah, or you grow up around, like, there's so many ways to quash that. Like, there's so many ways people shut that sound down, right? Whether it's shutting down a feeling. My feelings got shut down a lot because I was the one who felt the most. I cried at everything, whatever. So that's one way. But I mean, you can shut down people's intuition so quickly by just being too loud, dismissing an idea, and then that you don't understand that person is never going to open up in the same way again. I saw that now. It's good because now I feel like I'm going to be a little more careful too, all around for others.
Yeah, it's like taking back all those pieces we lost on our way. Opening all the doors of the castle where the doors are all closed. Like Debbie Ford's example, discovering what's inside.
Yeah, the castle with many rooms thing. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's when you it's Debbie Ford who wrote that in her book. When you are born, you are a castle with 1,000 rooms, and then it goes on with the parents or the people taking care of you, who tell you, well, this door stays shut.
Yeah.
This door we don't open this door, and this door neither we don't open, and it goes on, and after you come to school and your teachers or religion tells you that you have to shut these doors and these doors and these doors, and when you are like 40, 15, you have the impression to be an apartment, a 2-room apartment, who needs another work, without realizing that you have everything inside and you are perfect as you are. and you should show it every day.
Yeah, I'm feeling more like a castle now.
The fear of failure is also, I believe, the system we are trapped in, who doesn't allow us to have enough time to follow our dreams, or who tells us that's crazy, you have to become someone, you have to gain money, you have to be in security. Yeah.
I think also sometimes all the possibilities can give us a little bit of being a possum in the headlights as well. So for all the goodness that we do and all the modalities, the coaching, the messages, and everything that we're bombarded with, still we have to clear out of the way a little bit. Otherwise, I mean, I'm saying this is maybe a New Zealand saying about being, or a oceanic saying about being a possum in the headlights, you know, like being blinded, literally. I
Deer
think
in the
there's,
headlights in North America.
okay.
Deer in the
Yeah.
headlights. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there can be a bit of that too. Mm.
Well, I think it takes trusting your gut, hearing your intuition to understand that one thing will not be the thing. Like I always felt like, oh, I should love yoga. Why don't I love yoga? Like it's nothing, can be a bit of everything. You can take a little bit of everything. All those self-help books, there's not one I have that everything I agree with. There's not one. You'll always get to a point where like in my younger days too, I would read them and I would think, oh no, what does it say of me that I don't agree with this part? Well, whereas now it's flipped and I'm like, oh, okay, the 3/4 of this book, awesome. That 1/4, I don't know where you're going with that, but that doesn't apply. I can cherry pick,
Yeah.
not
Beautiful
crazily.
word. Yeah.
Yeah, but like once you have your gut, you can like what will work for me from this, and because that's where we're all individuals anyway. We all have to kind of do a bit of that.
Mm.
I grew up with this structure of Catholicism. I grew up with a one church idea, and breaking out of that was the beginning of breaking out of monolithic thinking of like, or having to be like anyone. So
Having to be like anyone, that's what we think, yeah.
yeah.
Who's that character telling this stuff? Yeah.
Just while I think of it, Michelle, I do want to thank you for your beautiful acknowledgement earlier about us doing these podcasts. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to a couple of them there. And it's just something that has been born out of flow for us in our connection through the pandemic. And it just shows you that there's so much synergy without even knowing it, with just trusting and coming together and having no script, and just
Yeah.
to be able to openly to share. So just so grateful. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the invitation. Yeah, I guess for you every week is sort of like, I wonder how this will go. I loved how Ben was really you had some breathing time. I really like that. I like that. Like, I think you're talking about with someone about this space to find a niche to find, but feel like what you're embracing is wide. You won't be able to peg it on anything, and having the flow is really exciting. Like every week will be sort of some different kind of conversation. And because I was listening to them kind of going, how do I fit in here? But then kind of dismissing that as well. That thought was like, you've been invited. You're going to go and it's going to be great. And it has been. So.
You're Michelle.
Have you been?
That's why I'm here.
You haven't been nervous, have you?
No, it's trying new things today. I'm nervous about nothing.
Exactly.
No, and I have a really strong thing about nerves because people talk about stage fright all the time, and I'm like, no such thing. It's available energy.
Yeah.
all it
Love
is.
that.
Like, yeah, you know,
Love that.
if you're not nervous about something, there's nothing on the line. Like there's confidence, but there should always be that little edgy thing of like no one can know what's going to happen. Otherwise you're not in the room, right? Like I studied improv for long enough to know that if you only ever learn yes, say yes, then that's all you need. That's the only lesson you really need to learn. There's tons of great lessons in improv, but I use it when I'm doing everything, my walk today, or it's just saying yes to whatever's around you. So saying yes to have that little bit of ball of energy before you do anything is awesome, because then you're just like, okay, I've got some adrenaline to drive me forward. I think calling it stage fright is the worst thing. I don't allow it anymore. Not allow it, but like someone says it, I'm just like, well, here's a way to think about it.
Of course, now you know some tools to work with it, or to accept it and be with it.
Yeah, it's like a beautiful reframe.
Yeah. May I ask you to sing us that beautiful Irish song?
Oh, which one?
That with the
I sang a few. I think
what was the name?
Song to Bridget and Blackwater.
Bridget, yeah.
Oh, I love that song. We sing a song to. So first of all, Bridget is the patron saint of. So she's a patron saint in Ireland, and her feast day is February 1st. So in the springtime, it's a kids song. We sing a song to Bridget. Bridget brings the spring, awakens all the fields and the flowers, and calls the birds to sing. All were welcome at her door, none were turned away. She helped the poor, the lame, and the sore, and sent them on their way. We sing a song to Bridget. Bridget brings the spring, awakens all the fields and the flowers, and calls the birds to spring.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thanks for letting me do that. Thanks for asking me.
Thank you. Well, Michelle, we are wishing you the best of luck, and keep us informed about where you are in your life. And we would love to welcome you back to the show anytime. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you.
Of course, just don't hesitate to like, subscribe, and share. And you will find also Michelle's Facebook link under the video down below. Thank you so much.